Welcome to Solar Scoop. Today we're doing a deep dive titled Assessing Your Home's Solar Readiness. Now, what if I told you that maybe 1 in 4 homeowners find out their home isn't actually suitable for solar after they've started the process?
Or, maybe even worse, they get panels installed that just don't produce nearly what they were promised.
Exactly. Getting only a fraction of the power they thought they were paying for, it sounds, well, incredibly frustrating.
A really costly mistake, potentially.
It really does. And that's what we're digging into today. This deep dive is about a really crucial question. Is your specific home actually right for solar? It's something solar companies don't always tackle up front.
It's absolutely fundamental. You need this base knowledge before you get caught up in all the quotes and the tech talk.
Totally. And our guide for this is some really helpful material from the IntegrateSun YouTube channel. It's part of their Going Solar Step-by-Step series.
Right.
They make this great point. You could have 2 houses side by side looking almost identical, but their actual solar potential could be worlds apart.
So our mission today is really to pull out the key factors from that video. We want to equip you, our listeners, so you can do a first-pass assessment on your own property.
Yeah, before you invest too much time or, well, money.
Exactly. Put the control back in your hands, sort of.
I like that. The speaker in the video even shared he almost made a big mistake himself early on. Okay, let's unpack this. What are these critical factors?
All right, let's get into it. The video rightly starts with the foundation, literally your roof.
Makes sense. That's where it all happens, right? They broke it down into 4 main things.
That's right, 4 crucial factors:
Yeah.
orientation, pitch, condition, and area.
Okay.
So for first up, orientation. Now for us in the Northern Hemisphere, south-facing is, the classic ideal.
With the sun.
Right, the gold standard. But here's something I found really interesting from the source, kind of an industry secret maybe. East and west facing roofs. They're actually still quite viable. The video said they typically generate around 80% of what a perfect south-facing roof does. Yeah, that 80% figure is important. It's not like it's useless if it's not facing south.
Definitely not. It really opens up possibilities.
Okay.
Okay, so after direction, what's next? Pitch.
Exactly. The slope or pitch.
Okay.
Ideally, the perfect angle matches your latitude, but the good news is there's a pretty wide acceptable range.
Okay.
Anything between about 15 and 40 degrees generally works really well.
So you don't need pinpoint accuracy. They used an example, didn't they? Like a 22-degree pitch.
Yeah, they said for that specific region, 22 degrees was almost perfect. So most typical roofs, are likely fine pitch-wise.
Good to know. Okay, factor number 3, condition. That sounds important.
Oh, it's critical, especially for long-term costs. Think about it. Solar panels are built to last, right? Maybe 25, even 30 years.
Okay, yeah, that's a long time. Longer than a lot of roof warranties.
Precisely. And here's the potential trap. If your roof only has, say, less than 10 years of life left when you install solar, down the line you'll need a new roof. And that means paying potentially thousands of dollars to have the entire solar system taken off and then put back on again.
Oof. Okay, that's a major hidden cost potential. So you absolutely need to know your roof's remaining lifespan before you commit.
A must-check item.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, the last roof factor is area. Just how much space do you actually have?
Right, how much do you need?
Well, the rule of thumb they gave is about 100 square feet of unshaded roof space for every 2 kilowatts of solar capacity.
100 square feet per 2 kilowatt. Okay, and they gave an example.
Yeah, for context, like an average home might need a 6 kilowatt system.
So that would need about 300 square feet of clear, usable, unshaded space. Gives you something to picture.
Exactly. So that covers the roof itself. Now, let's shift to the second major thing they focus on, which they called, well, pretty dramatically, the silent killer of solar production.
Shade. Yeah, that phrase definitely grabs your attention.
It does. And it's not just a little bit of shade either.
No, I was surprised. The video explained that even if just one panel gets partially shaded, it can drag down the output of the entire string of panels it's connected to by up to 30%.
30%. It seems counterintuitive, but that one panel acts like a bottleneck for the whole series.
Wow. Okay.
And the tricky thing with shade, is that it changes.
Right. Trees have leaves in summer, they're bare in winter.
Exactly. Different shadows. And trees grow, obviously. What looks like minor shade today might be a big problem in 5 or 10 years.
Good point. So how do they suggest you actually, check for this yourself before getting too far down the road?
They gave some practical tips. You could use free apps like Sun Surveyor, apparently,
Okay.
which shows the sun's path over your house all year round.
Yeah.
Or just do it manually. Go outside, check your roof at specific times.
Like when?
Maybe 9 a.m., noon, and 3 p.m. Take 10 minutes, see what's shaded and when.
That seems totally doable and potentially very revealing. They shared a story, right? About a neighbor?
Oh, yeah, a really compelling one. This person spent $25,000 on a solar system,
Okay.
but it was only ever producing at about 65% efficiency.
Ouch. Why?
Turns out, deciduous trees, the leafy kind, were totally blocking the afternoon sun for like half the year, from April through October.
And a simple shade check beforehand would have caught that.
Absolutely. The video made it clear a basic analysis would have flagged that major issue before the contract was signed or anything was installed.
Wow. That goes right back to your first point about underperforming systems. Paying for 100%, getting 65%. That's a huge avoidable loss.
It really underscores why doing this homework yourself first is so important.
Okay, this seems like a good spot to take a quick pause. We've covered the roof itself, orientation, pitch, condition, area, and the massive impact of shade. When we come back, we'll get into those other factors the video mentioned. The ones beyond the roof, structural things, regulatory stuff that can apparently make or break a project. Stay with us. We'll be right back. So pause.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're assessing your home's solar readiness. Before the break, we talked all about the roof and the critical issue of shade.
Right, the physical space and the sunlight hitting it.
Exactly. Now let's move on to some other factors the IntegrateSun video highlighted. These are things beyond the roof itself, but they can be just as important. Structural and regulatory hurdles, basically.
Yeah, these are the things that might not be obvious just looking at the roof, but they can definitely trip you up or add unexpected costs. First one, your electrical panel.
Okay, the main breaker box, why is that a factor?
Well, a lot of older homes might still have, say, a 100-amp service panel. And the video pointed out these often aren't sufficient. They usually need upgrading before you can add solar to handle the extra load and the system feeding power back in. Ah, okay. And I'm guessing that's not always included in the initial quote.
That's the potential hidden cost. They mentioned it could be anywhere from like $1,500 to $3,000 extra.
Yikes.
And sometimes you don't find out about it until after you've already signed the contract.
Okay, so that's definitely something to ask about directly, very early on. Will my panel need an upgrade, and is that cost included?
Absolutely. Put it on your checklist. Another area is dealing with homeowner associations, HOAs, or if you live in a historic district.
Right. I've heard about HOA rules being tricky for solar.
Yeah, I mean, many states do have laws protecting your right to install solar, but HOAs can often still impose restrictions.
Like where panels can go, or what they look like.
Exactly. Placement, appearance. The video mentioned seeing people get stuck for months just battling the bureaucracy to get approval.
Okay, so another potential delay or complication to investigate early if you have an HOA.
Definitely worth checking their rules up front. Related to that are local building codes. Some towns or counties have specific setback requirements, meaning panels have to be kept a certain distance away from the edges of the roof, the ridge, the eaves, etc.
Okay, and the impact of that is?
Well, according to the video, those setbacks can actually shrink your usable roof area significantly, maybe by 15 to 30%.
Ah, I see. So it connects back to the roof area factor we discussed earlier. You might have the square footage, but code says you can't use all of it near the edges.
Precisely. It chips away at your potential installation space. And then the last point in this section was structural capacity.
Meaning, can the roof actually hold the weight?
Basically, yeah. Solar panels add load, maybe around 3 to 4 pounds per square foot.
Doesn't sound like a ton, but I guess over the whole system area.
It adds up. And the video noted that, particularly with older homes, the existing roof structure might not be rated for that extra weight.
So you might need reinforcement.
Potentially, yes. Which, again, is another possible hidden cost you wouldn't know about until the structural assessment is done.
Okay, wow. So roof check, shade check, electrical panel check, HOA code check, and structural check. That's quite a list.
It is. But here's the empowering part. The main takeaway from the source material, really.
Yeah.
You, the homeowner, can actually assess most of these things yourself, at least preliminarily, before you even start talking to solar companies.
That's huge. It feels like doing your homework before the sales pitch.
Exactly. And doing that, as they emphasize, saves you time, it saves you money, and it helps you avoid that awful feeling of finding out about a major problem way too late.
They had a good analogy at the end, didn't they? About the scale of the investment.
Yeah, that solar is often the second biggest investment people make after buying their house.
Right.
And taking maybe just one weekend to really evaluate your home using these factors we've discussed.
Yeah.
That could be the difference between, 25 years of clean energy savings.
Or 25 years of regret over a system that just doesn't perform like it should have.
It really puts the value of this prep work into perspective.
So, just to quickly summarize our deep dive today, we looked at assessing your roof's orientation, pitch, condition, and usable area. We talked about how absolutely vital understanding shade is all year round.
And then those other potential hurdles, your electrical panel capacity, HOA rules and local building codes, and your roof's structural integrity.
And the great news is, you can check most of this yourself first. The IntegrateSun video also mentioned they offer a free downloadable solar readiness checklist to help you walk through it all.
Yeah, that sounds like a really practical tool for listeners.
Definitely. They also hinted that their next video will dive into the different types of solar systems available and how to choose the right tech for your situation. So hopefully this deep dive gives you that solid foundation first. Is my house suitable?
It helps you answer that fundamental question before getting into the specifics of panels and inverters. Gives you that crucial go-no-go insight for your property.
Absolutely. And hey, since we've been drawing from their expertise today, if you do this assessment and decide solar looks promising for you, you might consider reaching out to the IntegrateSun team for a consultation.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Building on that neighbor example.
Yeah.
It's not just, can my house go solar? Think about it more like, based on all these factors, the shade, the roof space, everything, what is my home's actual realistic solar potential? Is that potential maybe 80% efficiency instead of 100%? Still a worthwhile investment for you, something to really consider